just to orientate yourself on this slide, page 24. The bluey purpley stuff here is cartilage, which is eventually bone. It's part of the turbinates. So this thing here is the perpendicular plate, and they're the ethanol turbinates. And then this thing here is a cribriform plate. So you're right at the front of the head. And then what you've got is these two things here are the olfactory bulb. And then the rest of this tissue here is the rest of the brain. Does everybody understand where we are? Right in the corner of the brain box, the calvarium. And this is the very front, just here. Anybody lost? Okay, good. So what we've got cartilage, because it's a young animal, and eventually turns to bone. So what I'm seeing here, we sort of look all through here. Michael will talk about respiratory a little bit later on, in the respiratory section. This is all respiratory epithelium. That browny material I showed you in that dog that I dissected. So we've got all these turbinates here, which are basically very fine bone lined by epithelium. And then opening and closing to the brain itself is this cribriform plate. And then running down the longitudinal fissure of the brain is this thing here, the falx cerebri, which is a big fold of dura that folds between and separates the hemispheres. So things we're going to be looking for, if we're going to a higher power now, looking through here, I can see this purplish tissue here, like I said, that's cartilage, forming the turbinates. It's lined by respiratory epithelium. And what you've got to remember that when you breathe in, or particularly your nostril, the air you breathe in is reasonably cold and reasonably dry. And so what this does, it warms it up. And you know, if you ever breathe air in on a very cold morning, sometimes you cough or you feel a bit congested, and that's what this epithelium is supposed to do. But once it reaches here, what we've got in here, first of all, the perpendicular plate, cartilage, and there's lots of holes which characterises the cribriform plate. And that's these things here. These things here. And these holes are what the olfactory nerves go through. They're unmyelinated, quite delicate. But unmyelinated means they're not very fast movement. So we'll see that. So I've gone to slightly higher power on one of these. You move through. There's a nerve, and there's another nerve running through. And then, so this is technically, will be bone eventually once the animal matures. In the skull, there's no epidural space. So the dura runs right against the periosteum. So this thing here is the dura mater. The wispiness here is part of the arachnoid space, arachnoid mater. And right against the brain, we'll come up to in higher power in a minute, is the pia mater. And if you follow that round, you can see then that forms that big fold we talked about before, the falx cerebri. Within that, there's big spaces here which are blood vessels, sinuses, big blood vessels. There'll be some nerves and smaller blood vessels and all sorts of stuff running between and separating the lobes of the brain. Come out of that a little bit. So that's the basic structure. And you can see here, these are the olfactory bulbs. That's all I want you to know about those for this stage. And then we see parts of the frontal lobe of the brain. Now, as we look in that closer again, we've got a higher power. You can see you've got a wispy line along here. That's the pia mater. And then we've got an outer layer, which is the molecular layer, and then a more of a granular layer below that. There's actually quite a lot of layers, all of names. We don't expect to know them all. Not really relevant to you guys, and it's probably something you won't remember down the track anyhow. But there are lots of layers, they all have names. And then as we move towards the centre, you see we get less cell bodies and more material, so grey on the outside, white on the inside. That's very characteristic of the brain. And that's the next slide, so I'll give you a few minutes to look at that.